And welcome to In-Game Chat for Saturday, March 8th, 2014. This is Season 8, Episode 10. I'm Scott.
I'm James.
I'm Dennis.
And I'm RJ.
Welcome to the show, everybody. If you'd like to get in touch with us, our phone number is 334-272-9228. That is 334-272-9228. You can check out ingamechat.net for all the links to get in touch with us. You can find us on Twitter at InGameChat as well as over on Facebook. You can email us, everyone at ingamechat.net. We are streaming the cam right now on Twitch, and you can go to twitch.tv, go to the search, type in In-Game Chat, and you can find us. You can also join us in the chat room live while we broadcast. And in the chat room tonight, we've got Brian Ward. Also, Lavos is in there. Ghost Bear has joined us, Plorch, and Matthew as well. W. Matthew is in there. Plus all of us hanging out in the chat room also. So, yeah, welcome to the show. Kind of been a busy week of things going on. We got RJ in here, and he's about to have a very busy week as well as he goes over to Atlanta for final round. We're going to get into more of that later on in the show, but do you have your schedule all set up? Is that all good? Is that all taken care of now?
I mean, we got the rooms and everything situated and everything. We haven't got the exact schedule yet, but I know one for sure is going to be the Virtua Fighter 5 tournament this Friday, and of course the Street Fighter and Soul Calibur, which is probably going to be on Saturday. Get the first pool of players out of the way, then they're going to start doing finals and semifinals probably late that night and Sunday.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like I said, we're going to get into that. One of your guys' teammates. I guess you're on a team, right?
Well, it's not a team. It's just a friend of mine who's been going to more tournaments than I have.
Mm-hmm.
He's played a lot of tournaments, and I got in touch with him and asked him to call in and talk about something.
Okay, because he is going with you on this one.
He is going.
Okay,
he is going
cool.
to final round.
Yeah, he's going to talk. He's going to call into to the show later on tonight, and we'll talk to him about just tournament life, I guess, how that all works out. None of us, other than you, really have been involved in things like that. So, be interesting to get some insight.
Well, not on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Definitely not on a regular basis. What have you been involved with? You were an Omega
The Omegathon.
You were an
back
Omegathon,
in 2004, which I lost first round, but so it was very limited tournament experience.
You were part of the first Omegathon, weren't you?
You were the first Omegathon loser?
Not the
roughly?
first, because it was like at least 4 or 5 people getting out. But it was not a rigged game.
Well,
but
that's a very particular distinction, though.
Yeah. It's a very nice distinction. Well, it wasn't a rigged game, but it was like one where if you got this particular team in it.
What was the game?
Dice Land.
Okay.
It was everybody got split into 4 groups of 5. It's not a game made for multiplayer. It has rules for that. But one of the teams basically just loses in multiplayer, just flat out, based on how everything. Getting into it would take a while and going over how it works. But basically, anybody who got that particular team ended up eliminated.
Yeah.
And I happened to draw it.
Was that your only tournament experience that you've had?
As far as...
Recently?
Yeah. After that, it's like I haven't had time since then.
Yeah.
I've never done it in the same room as other people.
Mm-hmm.
I've played in tournaments, but they've all been online ladders.
Online ladders,
Online,
yeah.
yeah.
I think,
You don't have to wear pants.
Yeah, really. I should reach out to Zen Studios and get them to do something with some pinball. That's about the only thing I can think I could jump into and do some tournament stuff with and enjoy. But yeah, so anyway, that's coming up later on this episode. But like I said, it's been a very busy week, and we'll get it out of the way first because one of the things, I woke up to the news on Wednesday morning. You sent me a text almost at midnight.
Yeah.
and I didn't know anything about it until I woke up the next morning and was going through a text from it sent me a Google message from James, and then I got texts from a couple of people, tweets from a couple of people, just saying, sorry to hear about this. Do you know anything that happened? This was, of course, the thing with Amy Hennig and Naughty Dog and the situation there. And, I didn't know anything about it. She, we're not on that kind of terms.
Yeah.
But I did reach out to her as, later on that day just to, I felt weird.
Yeah.
I felt very strange about it. I felt sad. It was a strange feeling because this wasn't happening to me, was it? No. Things like
it's
that.
happening to somebody
It is, but somebody I know who's also we all know that's just immensely talented and will not have.
Well, and it's leaving the
any
place where
trouble.
you've known her to be at.
Yeah, It was very mixed emotions for me because part of me, and I've said this in some of the threads, it was half and half. I was sad, and then again I was happy about it. Part of me was happy just for the fact that she can get out of the umbrella of Uncharted, and go and do something else, which would be great. It's not that I hate the franchise of Uncharted. I don't. It's one of my favorites, but it now allows.
Well, now it's in 2 years. We'll probably see a new Amy Hennig project of some kind.
Maybe.
Whether it's
Maybe.
Because who knows?
Every emotion that you have, everything that you feel, given the fact that she has said essentially nothing,
Right.
probably through a combination of not really wanting to air dirty laundry and being legally prevented from airing dirty laundry. It doesn't matter.
By the way, in situations like this, when things happen in companies like that, contracts and things like that are signed, you're usually the only person that's allowed to talk about the terms of a termination is the company themselves. The terminated employee is not allowed to talk about it. It's a breach of contract. You'll lose all of your benefits or whatever the case. Not to mention the bridges you'll burn in that sort of thing. You'll get that label as someone who broke contract, who broke NDA, who broke whatever it was. So it's just one of those situations where you're not going to hear what happened, and I'm not concerned with what happened, honestly.
No, it doesn't matter.
I'm really not. I've seen tons of people speculating over it, and I'm not concerned with what happened. I'm more concerned at all right, when am I going to get the text from from James at midnight again saying, dude, look who picked her up.
Yeah.
Look what company went and got her, or whatever the case, whatever happens in that. I'm not even worried about her in that term.
I don't think you should be worried about any of it. You were talking a minute ago about the things that made you happy or sad about this separation. Her having said nothing means that you don't even have a place to be happy or sad. You're saying that you're glad that she's out from under Uncharted, but you don't know that maybe she didn't want to be out from under Uncharted.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's an excellent suspicion.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's probably very close to correct. If you look at the timeline for how long this has been going on, Uncharted is the only thing she's done probably for 10 to 12 years now. Anybody creative enough, and she is most definitely creative enough, will want to spread to another project after a certain period of time. So that's an assumption, but it's still just an assumption.
What did we figure? They started in 2000 and
probably 3 or 4. I would imagine building the first Uncharted since it came out in 2005.
Yeah, and that's
and
all.
It's been nothing but pedal to the metal on.
She
Uncharted
got, I would talk to her after Uncharted 2. I would talk to her about the time off that she would have, and it would only be a couple months. Several months or so. Not a year. Put it this way: you wouldn't you never got a year off or anything like that, or a year from not having to worry about the next installment. But once it was done, it was just diving back into it again, and so just year after year after year after year, and now they were doing the fourth for almost 10 years, for pretty much 10 years or more, that she's had to dive back into these characters, these settings, whatever the case. So,
well, again, you say had to, maybe wanted to. The point is, you can't really know.
Yeah,
you can't possibly know what the appropriate emotional stance is when you're thinking on behalf of another person. You don't know. It's clearly not an amicable separation. And so, yeah, that's kind of bad in the same way that all things like that are bad. Because now there's a dark cloud hanging over something that we all used to universally adore. And we see no problems there. And it's an unstained part of the game development process is rare. So, yeah, okay. Whatever. At this point, it's nothing but tabloid news.
Yeah.
Until we hear from her, not the others.
Right,
'cause
yeah,
they're
yeah.
still in business, doing their business. But she didn't just separate from Naughty Dog, she clearly separated from Sony.
Yeah.
Whatever it's about, honestly, does not matter.
Yeah.
What does matter is that well beyond Uncharted, she has a history of crafting excellent narratives in video games. And try as we might, we're still not producing that many good ones. So if this means that she can go somewhere else and do something else, you know what? Entertain your dreams. Imagine that she's going to go be a part of Square Enix now and relaunch the Legacy of Kain series. Go right ahead and do that. I'm doing that too.
Yeah, that makes me really happy.
Right? Around my fourth or fifth beer every night, I start to think about how wonderful that
Well,
would actually be.
Did
We
you
al-
play
we also need
Defi-
to-
Did you play Defiance?
No, I didn't.
Oh,
Okay.
wow,
I
you need to
didn't.
play Defiance.
No, I don't need to.
Does
play
he though?
Defiance. No, I
Because you
don't.
know it ends at a it's cliffhanger ending.
I don't.
No,
yeah,
it's satisfactory. It's you can.
It was.
You can. I've been stopped there for years, and it's been fine. And also, they need to find a way to resurrect Tony J as well. So
Yeah, right.
Regardless, that's an entertaining idea. The world is a lot different than it was when she started making the first Uncharted game.
Yeah.
It is literally not even remotely the same world now. She has enough of a name and enough of a following and enough of an actual resume that if she wants to entertain the idea, she could probably hook up with somebody and go to Kickstarter and do quite well.
Hey, there's
or
a
she
thought.
can. Well, of course, it's
Yeah.
a
I
thought.
didn't even think about Kickstarter.
Are you
Really?
stupid?
Yeah.
What's wrong with
no,
you?
Just it doesn't even you know.
indie scene has been blowing up for
I know.
years now.
Just didn't
so-
cross my
In case
mind.
you haven't noticed,
No.
people who don't want to work in the existing kind of power structure take their name and their successes and their various qualities, and they go somewhere and they hang out their own shingle, as it were.
In
She is
Exile
more
comes
than
to mind.
she is more than capable of doing this. She is also more than capable of being a worthy part of any other team.
Yeah.
That's not even in question. And I don't want to have anything to do with yucky stories about what happens
No.
behind.
Jeez.
So at the moment, this should really be the last thing we say about it until she decides to say what she wants to say or do whatever she wants to do. Otherwise,
It will be, and
it's as much hearsay and as believable and trustworthy as marketing
I know.
materials are.
And from that leads us into the next situation, similar but not, which was Tretton stepping down at the end of March.
Yeah,
at the end of this
Mark
month.
stepping down from being Sony CEO.
Yeah, which I was surprised at that too. Whenever that
He's the CEO
popped up.
of SCEA, right? Is
Yes,
that right?
I believe so.
That division? I think it's SCEA.
Yeah, just of
Sony
Sony's
Computer
American
Entertainment
division.
America,
Yeah,
which, despite its name, is really only about the PlayStation.
it really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that actually makes a little bit of sense because he's seen their flagship product through release. The fact that it is now out, it is on its way, it's being supported perfectly. Games are on the way. Like, it's a good time if he feels like going and doing something else. I wouldn't have weird thoughts about that.
No. I don't have any weird thoughts. It's just one of those situations. I was unexpected to see it. I suppose it was, Matrick leaving his position.
That was everybody was sort of like tapping their foot and checking their watch.
Yeah, I
waiting
was
for
say
that one.
if
they were doing the Sonic stance.
Yeah, they
which
were.
was
They're
just
like, come on,
amazing.
get it on,
Yeah.
get it on. Like, go, find a place.
I
Yeah.
was gonna say if Tredden had left in between E3 and the PS4 release, that would have raised some eyebrows. But now it's like,
Well,
No, it's
I
a
mean,
job well done. He
Yeah.
shipped a number of units. He avoided controversy. They stayed on the right side of the story for a year. That's hard to do. That's really, really hard to do. He generally helped to resurrect the image of the PlayStation in the minds of an awful lot of people. You did a good job. That's great. Yeah, maybe you want to do something else. Again, CEOs can be creative people too. He may have other things he wants to be involved in. He may have other very large paychecks being dangled in front of him. I don't know. I honestly do not know and can't say. Again, it's more news about people, and until he says something,
I know.
back to the tabloids.
Back to the speculation, and back to the fantasizing, I suppose, as to the what might be.
Yeah, doing the wild mass guessing. It's like
Exactly. Which, we do a lot on the show.
yeah, we do
When we
indulge
talk
on
about things,
occasion.
but I never like to do it about these situations.
No, not in regards to like somebody's career and
Yeah.
livelihood.
Yeah, I never like to do it about that. So, anyway, those were interesting things that that took place this week, and just surprising for the most part for those situations. The other thing we got a better outlook of what we're going to be playing, not only in the next couple of weeks, but in the next couple of months as well. We were just going over it before the show as to what we'd be spending our money on, and let me reiterate that we do spend our money on these things. When games get released, for the most part, we do shell out the bucks when we talk about playing them. You bought Thief, you bought
Lords of Shadow 2.
Lords of Shadow 2. He bought Strider and finally finished up Strider,
Finish that up.
and I bought Thief for PC. The PS4 version did come in, but I found a seller who wanted to get rid of his for $16, and I was like, "I am on it, sir. I will purchase that from you." And
Have you played it at all?
I did. I played it this morning. I need to tell you. Well, that'll come up. But I played it this morning. I got to the clock tower section, and stopped there. Really liked what I played though. Now I didn't change. I'm going to go back and replay it. I want to change. I want to change some of the.
Were you playing on the defaults?
I was playing on the defaults.
What difficulty?
Thief middle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're not playing the game right.
Oh, of course not. But I do want to go back and change things. After going through there, I realized that I want to make some changes into the way, because I got noticed a couple of times, and I really wanted to start over in that section. And there were a few times I did start over.
Yeah.
And it set me back in a. Does it have quick saves?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. See, there's the other thing.
They can be disabled in master custom difficulty. I would not. I would not do that.
Exactly, because there were a couple
There are
of points.
places.
I'll say if stages are as long as they were in previous titles, going back and having to start back at the beginning would be like, oh, just frustrating.
Yeah, there are things you don't really want to do that. It nurtures some bad F5 habits, but hop from shadow to shadow, hit F5. Sneak past a dog, hit F5. It does support some bad habits in some places, but it's acceptable if you have disabled other helpers, if you have disabled waypoints, if you have made it so that you're really having to spend time in the environment to understand what you're doing. And there are still faults. The game is full of faults.
Although I am running at max settings and not having a single issue
No, it's great.
so far.
Performs
Yeah,
really great.
Nice.
it does. Which is obviously more than I can say on what's going on with Walking Dead Season 2, Episode 2. We're not going to get into any talk about that because there's still some people who haven't played it yet, but I will say it's par for the course for a Telltale game on a console, at least for me, running like crap.
Yeah, because I played on the PC this week and it's fine. I had no problems whatsoever.
God, it was horrible. I will say the Thief situation, I had some out-of-sync audio
I haven't had that yet.
going on during that first little thing where they're carrying you into the gates while you're riding in the
During the
whatever it
prologue?
is. Yeah, in the prologue. I had subtitles turned on, and I was getting the subtitles way before the audio.
Oh, okay. Audio out of sync with subtitles is something I've seen, but audio out of sync with the action or what's happening around you, I've been fine
Okay.
with.
Well,
But
it
there
just
have
got-
been places where the subtitles
I got
have-
really far ahead.
Yeah.
But that's it so far. And like I said, I've really enjoyed it. I tried to do Diablo. Turns out I put in a ticket late Friday night.
For what?
I can't get into my account. It's
Because
the
of the
authenticator.
authenticator?
Yeah.
All right, here's the thing. The authenticator does a really good job of keeping other people out of your account.
Yeah.
But the degree to which people that I know don't take care of their authenticators, I don't. Take care of people. Take care of your mobile authenticators. Put them on your phone. It's perfectly fine. But back them up, or pay attention, or like uninstall and detach the authenticator. when you're moving from device to device or something like that. It's lots of people I know get hit with their own authenticators more than the authenticator.
Yeah,
keeps
it
someone else
was,
out.
and so I put in my ticket. I had to give him my copy of my driver. I had to upload a copy of my driver's license and everything else. So I'm working to get that situated so that I can get into some Diablo 3 stuff with you.
I wish you would.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
need to hop on that train. I just put
I
it.
wish you would.
I downloaded the demo version or starter version.
The trial version of it, yeah.
So I'm going to give that a swing, and I'll at least put down $40.
I
I am
am-
sure of it.
I am
Given
it's right in
everything
my
I've
veins,
heard,
man.
everything I've heard from you and from everybody else who's tried it, is like this is exactly
I would
right
guess
up my alley.
this means you haven't put any more time in with Thief.
I've put a little more time in with
Okay.
Thief.
But Diablo 3 is really holding you right now?
Absolutely is.
Yeah. That's what I figured. So that's what I've been doing as far as like what I've been playing. Dennis, anything from you?
Lords of Shadow 2, which
Yeah.
I've enjoyed that for the most part. If you didn't like Lords of Shadow 1, you're not going to like Lords of Shadow 2 at all.
Well, you know where I
Did
sit
very
so
many
far.
people like Lords of Shadow 1?
Not very many.
Okay.
It's a good it's a good game. It's a game made by Castlevania fans for Castlevania fans, doing their own continuity, full of references to all over the main series, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot, except for just a few parts. They added in stealth sections,
Right.
which has story justification. There's one in particular where most of them are just like stationary guards. It takes like 2 minutes to get past it. Nothing, no big deal. Then there's one with a incredibly fast enemy that tracks you through like this garden maze. You have leaves all around. You step on him. He's like, I found you, and like runs at you and sends you back to the beginning of the maze. And it was terrible. It was the worst level I think I've played in a very long time of anything.
Right.
And once I was through that and back into like what the game should have been about, which is the combat and the story, I was fine. But it's like anybody who gets to that part who's not a fan of the game, I couldn't blame them for just like deleting it and like never playing it again.
Yeah, it's sad. I mean, I don't know. You would expect it to be an objectively bad game based on all the things that have been said and written about it, but I find there's nothing wrong in the world with liking something that's bad. I want to make that very clear. You can like bad things all you want.
Oh, yeah.
It's just worth recognizing that what you like and what is and is not good are not necessarily the same things. The two have no relationship to one another. Just because you like something does not mean it's good, or it's bad because you hate it. So I like lots of bad things.
I like a lot of bad things too.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Aside from that,
No argument there, is there?
Walking Dead, which we mentioned,
Right.
And, I actually picked up Kingdoms of Amalur recently. The 38th season.
That was
Yeah.
way better than it had any right to be.
Yeah,
It was on sale. Did you pick it up on Steam?
I picked it up a couple months ago and just didn't start it up until
Okay.
now. And it's one I like tried out the console version, kind of enjoyed it, and playing back through is like, yeah, it's a good game.
It is a good game. It's not a great game.
It's not great.
It's a really good game, though.
It's good. It's fun.
It is fun.
That's the most important thing. Is it's fun.
It needed
it's
a
enjoyable.
sequel. It needed a sequel so bad.
Which-
It needed all of those problems fixed. It needed all of those creative issues dealt with.
Mm-hmm.
It needed to be dialed in a lot better than the first one was. And it'll never get that, and that's okay. We understand why. And it can forever live as an imperfect.
As an imperfect
Thing.
game that you know.
But it's plenty good. It's plenty fun. It's got some fantastic combat mechanics in it.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
got some neat hybrid type of builds that you can put together between like,
And you kind of switch them, not necessarily on the fly, but
near enough.
Yeah.
Near enough, and you can mix strength-based combat, magic-based combat, and subtlety or
Stealth type combat.
combat. Ranger type combat.
Yeah.
You can mix all of those together to some really great degree. It's got a lot of secondary systems, like secondary skill type systems with the cards
yeah, with
that
your various
enhance
jobs
certain
essentially.
kinds of builds. The problem is that none of those builds are absolutely necessary. You don't really have to be terribly creative because it doesn't matter. The game isn't very hard, even on hard.
Yeah, no, it most of what I've read about is like it's within like a couple of hours, you have your game breaker skills in whichever path you go down, and it's just simplistic. It's easy, but I'm not looking for a complicated thing. I'm not looking for hundreds of hours of time spent on grinding out levels just because that's difficulty there, man.
No, you won't get that. Although you will get many hours out of it.
Yes,
It's a good game. Look, you got nothing else to do in the world. It's RPG light. It's closer to action RPG than anything else.
Fable in particular.
It is.
Has a lot
It
of
is
DNA with Fable.
yeah. It really does.
You can find it for a good price.
Yes.
Yeah, and if you keep your eyes out, it's on sale routinely with all the. I think it was on sale recently with all the DLC, which is what I picked up on the PC.
Yeah, I got that. It was like $10.
Yeah, it's a neat thing, you know, and very much like what we were saying minutes ago, it is not necessarily good. I have a hard time compartmentalizing it, but if you can allow yourself what I consider to be the mature opinion that it's all right to like things that are imperfect, it's worth a little bit of time. It can be a fun place to spend some time, and oh well.
Yeah, I remember playing that too. It was on PlayStation Plus. It was one of their free games for the month. As a matter of fact, yeah, I had a good time with it playing that as well. Yeah, like you said, not a simplistic, straightforward, not too many RPG elements to think about.
Right.
More like I did with Phantasy Star Online. Just go for it and do what you want to do.
Yep.
And moving right along to you, finished up Strider.
Yeah, finished that up. Just recently did a playthrough of that. Had a good time with that one. Had a real nostalgic feel to it. Like I said, they said it was like a mix between the arcade classic and the NES version. But like I've never played the NES version, just the arcade. And yeah, it was a really good playthrough. Really good experience for me. Short though. It's like I think our playtime was 5 hours 45 minutes to go through it on normal difficulty. But you have to do a lot of exploring through that game. To get any upgrades and benefits to finish the game properly, you're gonna have to do a lot of going off the beaten path, so to speak, to find
Things
what
like
you
if
need
you
to
want to break through this wall, you have to go after this upgrade.
yeah,
on this side.
color coded things like you have to. There's like 4 different plasma types, like magnetic, exploding, reflecting, and freezing, and you have to, and based on what type of door you want to go through, you have to have a certain type of plasma equipped.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
so it sounds very Metroidvania.
I was about to say that sounds awfully familiar.
Yeah. Certain tools you have to pick up. Kunai, his throwing dagger. You have to use those to open doors. You have to throw it, hit the lock, and then go through it that way. But yeah, I had a really good time playing through that one. So it's worth picking up, especially if you're a fan of the series.
And I guess you did some more training, I suppose, some more practice.
Yeah, a little bit. Not as much as I'd like to, but I'll be picking that up later this week.
All right, cool. Well, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll have more of In-Game Chat. We've got Nabokov on the phone. We'll get to him as well. If you'd like to call in, you can, 334-272-9228. We'll have more of In-Game Chat and what we're going to be playing in the coming weeks and months. In just a moment, we'll be right back. Here's music from Alan Wake. It's Welcome to Bright Falls. And welcome back to In-Game Chat. Music there from Ghost Recon. Let's go to the phones now. It's a longtime listener, longtime fan of the show. Here is Nabokov fan on the phone with us. Hey, man.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
What?
Been in the middle of a parking lot in Southern California splitting.
What's? You're sitting in a parking lot listening to us, huh?
Yep.
How? Well, obviously you're listening to us through the phone. I forget about that. I was about to ask, how are you listening to us in the parking lot? But anyway, what's on your mind?
So, we got the news that Amy Hennig left last week, and my first thought was, it'd be cool if she went to some place like Ubisoft, just because they suck at telling stories sometimes. But that's just me being a fan of Ubisoft. And then hearing you guys talk about Legacy of Kain and just, she'd like to tell a story, it made me think that she would probably be a really good fit doing one of two things. Going to, Quantic Dream and getting that guy to make a game that's actually a game that's fun and is a good story. Or going to, Gabe Newell calls her up and says, hey, we want you to make not Half-Life 3, but whatever the next, single-player Valve story-driven thing is.
Yeah, well, Gabe calling her up and saying, we'd like you to make the next whatever you want.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Which is a lot like how Valve works. We've joked an awful lot of times that the thing David Cage needs most is a person who speaks good English to stand next to him and be like, this is not how American people speak. This thing that you just wrote, we would never say that. So it sounds completely stupid when somebody says that. We like your concepts. They're very good. Could you please get somebody who knows how to tell a story? So as much of a kind of a joke as it seems first, on first blush, that would probably be a relatively good fit. It's to her credit, though, that everybody instantly thinks about all of the places, not the places she should go because she needs help, but the places she should go because they need help.
Right.
That should make her feel, I would hope, it should make her feel very well appreciated and well loved and well understood.
I never looked at it that way. It's that's interesting. That everywhere we've done, every thought that we've come into is like, we wanted to go there because they own the IP or they own the thing that could use her touch.
Because someone somewhere, many people in many places actually need her help quite badly.
That's interesting. Well, we appreciate the call, man.
Yeah,
Anything else?
Valve would be a really good fit, I think.
Yeah, it really would.
What do you think about the idea of her kickstarting something?
I think that's probably the most likely thing is her just starting her own studio.
That would be interesting. I would really like that. I say that. I'm trying to back away from the concept because I've been a little bit lukewarm on Kickstarter.
Yeah.
But it has worked really, really well for, for a lot of publishers and developers and people that we're really fond of out of the past who don't have any other mechanism other than re-entering, the AAA publishing world, which is clearly not a really happy place. So maybe that would be, I don't know, maybe it would be good. The only thing I don't want is for her to go away.
Right, yeah.
For her to get out of the business.
I don't think that she, obviously the last time you guys talked to her, she was staying at work, till midnight every day. And she's going to be, vacation for 2 months or whatever it is. But I don't know if it's Kickstarter. I think it's just her doing her own thing. Maybe a couple people come with her from Naughty Dog, and then she just says, okay, here's 5 people, let's make something.
Yeah. I think we can expect a little bit of time for her to get back in the right headspace, figure out what she wants to do. But I'm hoping maybe sometime after E3 she'll feel like talking to people about what her future is going to be like.
Yeah. I have no idea. Like, again, I don't know if things like, again, it's all speculation on stuff like this. Things like non-competes. Who knows? But that's interesting. You bring up some good theories there. So, but we appreciate you calling in, man.
Yeah, thanks, dude.
All right, thanks, Snap.
Hey, have a good one.
As always.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Keep listening to us in that parking lot.
The problem with Valve, of course, is if she goes to work there, that's that, I suppose. Never see that game. Whatever it is.
I was wondering what you were getting at.
Unless she wants to go write one of the Left 4 Deads. That'll find its way out.
Yeah, good point. We were talking before the break. We were talking about what we'd be planning on doing. James is obviously waiting for Dark Souls 2 for the PC, which we're getting an April 25th release date on that.
Yeah, we finally did. That was a little bit touchy because I'm not playing it on the console. It's not a next gen game. I'm not playing stuff on the old consoles right now. They're ugly, and I don't want to play them.
No, it's
so
same here. And plus, I'm not
do it.
hooking them back up. So,
so it's very nice to have had a date on that. I mean, I'm not buying Titanfall because I don't care. It's not that good. I don't see it.
Yeah.
It's got plenty of fans. There are plenty of people who think it's the greatest game ever made. They don't need me to think that. And I would buy it, but they like it too much. They're wanting like $70 of my dollars, and I'm not gonna go through some drug tunnel Mexican VPN to like pull the roulette or the to like pull the lever and see like what's my price gonna be? Do I get it for 48? Do I get it for I don't know. What's the current exchange rate on pesos to dollar? Like, I don't know. I'm not doing that.
Last I checked, it seems to change very quickly.
It's a little too I don't know. It's a little too hairy for me. I'm not interested for a game that I just don't believe in very much at the moment. And I know what would happen because I'm very self-aware. What would happen is it would come out, and then I would play Diablo 3.
Because that expansion hits.
Well, that expansion is March 25th.
God.
Yes.
But there are plenty of incentives for playing right now.
Right now, yeah, I understand.
Right
that.
now, it's a experience boost.
There's a 50% experience boost, kind of just as a ring out the old, ring in the new kind of deal.
Yeah.
And one of the things that they have in place and have had in place for a really long time is after you, and this is maybe for anybody who doesn't know, if you have a level 60 character, right? You can continue to play this character. It's a maximum level character, but you can continue to play them and accrue experience at a normal rate. And for every level's worth of experience, you get a Paragon level. And Paragon levels give you points that can be added to, primary, secondary, defensive, and utility skills as you choose. And they very, very... in very small increments, they continue to improve your character. It's an alternate advancement route type of thing. And it stacks up. It actually matters to a certain degree. And they are account-wide. So if you get, say, 40, 50, 60, 100 Paragon levels, you create a new character, that character will have all of those Paragon levels from the out.
Okay.
So it's a nice piece of incentive. You will stop accruing them, obviously, when the expansion comes out. You'll go back to leveling your core levels, but they'll still be there, and you'll continue to chase them at level 70. And it's fun, and you can, the gear isn't as big a deal right now because it's all going to be replaced pretty shortly. That's what happens. It's not a big deal, but it is also fun. It is just fun to play. It's fun to chase the gear. It's kind of a fun thing to be back into right now. So,
and also this week, Dark Souls 2 hits for the previous.
Dark Souls 2 hits for the consoles, the PS3 and the
PS3 and the 360, which is where.
And Titanfall is out this coming week. Yes?
Titanfall is out this week as well.
Yeah,
for Xbox One and Origins, the 360 version, is a couple of months off, I think. But I know you're.
Yes,
you're getting it?
I'm picking up.
You already got it
2.
pre-ordered, I'm sure. But
pre-ordered already. Yeah.
It comes out on Tuesday. You guys
This
leave.
Tuesday.
You guys leave for Atlanta when?
Thursday.
So.
I won't be playing it much.
I was going to say, how do you divide your time between?
Yeah, it's simple. I don't.
Okay, yeah. I'm thinking.
I just pick it up.
I'm thinking muscle memory for his fighting games, and then doesn't want to
Your problem is that you, like me, have no ability to prioritize, and you're talking to someone who does.
Right.
So it doesn't make any sense to you. You're wondering how he's going to manage all of this stuff, and he doesn't understand why you can't understand what he's really going to do.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, the game will still be there when I get back.
That doesn't make any sense. That's not even remotely as important as the game is here right now.
Then it'll be there when I get back.
Yeah, but that's then. This is now.
Well, I can wait.
This is now me, and now me wants things now. No, I'm not arguing with you. I'm trying to explain to you that we're very stupid.
Oh, I get what you're trying to say.
Yeah, I know.
You want it now, not now, right now.
Yes, that is which makes it galling that I have to wait until the 25th of April.
Really?
because I'm not playing it on the console. I'm
Right.
not going to do that.
And in between that,
so
like we said, you've got Diablo 3, and then you've got those of us with the PS4, we've got Second Son.
Mhm.
Second,
Second
that's a
Son.
big deal, man. That Second Son is like, there are other, there's arguments you can make, but Infamous is, I think, the first proper next generation showcase game. There have been other exclusives that are next gen, but they were launch window games, which we all
Yeah.
know are never really fully fleshed out types of things. You could look at Rise to some degree. You can look at, Knack or Resogun or some of those things, and they qualify. Yes, technically they do. This is a marquee title. This is single platform exclusive, and it is absolutely in every way from the ground up meant to be a next generation game. This is going to be one of the first big deals for that. I can't not play that. And it's important because a lot of people have been pinning their hopes and their arguments about the superiority of the platform versus the Xbox One, the necessity, the very obvious graphical necessity of going to the next generation consoles instead of sticking on the older ones, because so far, you've got an awful lot of things that are still keeping people tied to the old world. A lot of things that are cross-generational that aren't really helping the argument that you need to move on to the next console, that it's worth your $400 or $500 to play there.
Yeah, this is the first title coming out that's like, I really wish I had.
Yeah,
a
how
PS4.
are you going to feel when that game comes
Yeah.
out and you can't
I
play
was
it? You're
saying
going to feel
this
bad.
I was saying this is made to build system, to move systems.
Yes,
right
it
now.
is.
Yeah,
It
so-
absolutely is. And it's made to show everything it can do. So it seems to me like it's pretty important for that reason alone. Hopefully there'll actually be a good game in it as well.
Yeah.
I don't know, but that's a definite. What day is that? I don't know.
18th,
Someday?
March 18th.
March 8th. Okay, so a
Wow.
week. Oh,
Yeah.
like 10 days.
Yeah.
Any demos?
So you get
yet?
well, you don't, but
I got nothing this week.
I know if you did, you'd have 3 weeks of back to back there.
Yeah.
You'd have Dark Souls 2, Second Son, Diablo 3 expansion,
What's Ground Zeroes as well?
Ground.
Ground
that-
Zeroes is 18th as well, I think.
Is it?
Yeah,
Alright.
that's right.
Well, good thing that's only about 90 minutes of gameplay, apparently. I don't know if those rumors. I'm willing to maybe rent that one. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
I put it in my rental queue for GameFly.
yeah, we'll
I
see.
did.
Yeah. You didn't have any. There were no demos for Second Son, was it?
No.
No, not at
No.
all. No.
I've watched
Okay.
plenty of demos for it,
Okay.
but there were no demos released. I've just watched, plenty.
Everything
of
so
gameplay.
far is official.
Mm-hmm.
They've kept pretty tight wraps on it. I mean, there's plenty of gameplay, but nothing. I don't even know when the embargo lifts.
I don't either. I was watching
Whether it's this week or next.
IGN did like a 3-hour gameplay session with it, talking to the developers and stuff, and they were only showing off like the smoke powers or the fire, the smoke fire, and then the neon type stuff. That was it. And he's like, "There's more than this. We've been very careful in everything we've shown since we've been showing this for over a year now."
Yeah, there have been little story details leaked out that's like, okay, I'm interested to see what you're
Yeah,
gonna
not
do
even the
with
story
this.
details, but just like the other powers that are involved, where they've just like, nope, we've only shown you 2, but there are more.
Well,
than
what?
that.
They've been showing it for the better part of a year,
Yeah,
right? Since
yeah.
E3. They've really only shown the same
Not
thing
even since
over...
E3. They started at the reveal of the PS4 in February last year.
Oh, did they? Okay.
Remember, a dude comes out and talks about being persecuted by...
Yeah, I don't remember quite well.
Okay, yeah.
But it's the same gameplay segments
Yeah.
since about E3.
Mhm.
And I think it's worth pointing out that they haven't deviated really at all in terms of what they're willing to show. It's the same thing. He's doing the same thing over and over again in all of the gameplay segments, in relatively the same environment.
And
same
guess what?
portion.
It's still
And
been
it's
enough.
still really great.
It's still been enough. It's never been me looking at it being like, boy, I wish they
could you stop showing that really cool thing where he turns into smoke and goes up a thing and like blows up the guy and then whips him with the chain and explodes and catches stuff on fire?
Yeah,
could you
yeah.
stop showing that awesome stuff?
Yeah.
I have never thought that.
I
I've
know.
always wanted to see more, but it's always like, oh, it's this again, which is, hey, fine, because it looks great.
Yeah. Which is great because we can say that about Second Son, and what we can't say that about is Watch Dogs.
No.
Yeah, Watch Dogs, May 27th.
I love, this is something Zufu wanted to call in about, but
I still like their
God, to
excuse.
see the obvious.
What?
I still like their excuse.
Oh,
Yeah.
broken game mechanics?
Mm-hmm.
All right, you're lying. Because it's public relations and marketing, and that's
Yeah.
simply how I feel about it. B, if it was Genuinely, in all earnest, serious intent, like if it was broken game mechanics, it's been 6 months since the game dropped off a cliff, disappeared. 30 days out from supposed release, the game gets pushed back and they don't talk about it. They don't show it. It doesn't exist anymore. That means there was a huge problem. We've been over this 100 times. This was not, it just needs a little bit more polish. We're going to push it back for 2 months.
Yeah.
It was not that. Nothing gets canceled that close to release behind that much marketing. It doesn't happen. They did some calculus. They realized that what they were about to ship was probably going to hurt them. When you drop out that significantly, it's because you're making real changes. However, if you're telling me that there were fundamentally broken or misaligned or mildly sprained game mechanics, you did not fix it in 6 months. 6 months is nothing. It may seem like a long time, but not in the development of software, not something that close to completion. You can go back and you can make some tweaks, you can make some changes, but you are not fixing fundamental game mechanics in 6 months, not to an acceptable degree. If they are telling the truth, we're in for what may be a really bad game. Or, I don't know, Thief bad, you know? I don't think they're being entirely honest, and I think that the footage bears that out.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm assuming you have all seen what is now the semi-official, sort of official, but was momentarily the leaked release trailer.
Yeah, release trailer, story trailer. Yeah.
Man.
We've talked about you and I and on this show, and I believe we have. Sometimes I get confused what we've talked off mic and what we've talked on, but we've talked about the degradation of quality of everything since that E3 2012 reveal.
Right.
We've talked about how it just doesn't look up to par to what we've seen. And apparently it even got worse after that with this reveal that they showed.
I mean, I'm not necessarily talking about the game mechanics because I can't tell. It's a trailer.
We can't. No.
But, and I don't know, supposedly it's running on next-gen hardware.
Right.
I know that it's a cross-generational thing. It has to work on everything that has ever played video games before.
Yeah.
But it's bad.
Yeah.
It's missing. There are a lot of arguments about 1080p, 60 frames per second, right? That's some kind of standard. It's been the standard on the PC for a very long time. And it is a good standard because that is the standard native resolution of most monitors, most consumer televisions. I think it's a good place to talk about reaching and just being. I think it's a good thing to define as a standard. I don't mind if the frame rate is locked at a lower but very consistent frame rate like Assassin's Creed 4 was.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay with me. It was a decent enough experience on the PS4. But the real difference between, I don't know whether you want to call them next-gen graphics or I don't like that idea because it's more of a continuum,
right,
in my opinion. But really modern, contemporary graphics, they're not really about resolution. Resolution is not that, it's not the thing. Meet the standard, give me a good frame rate. When you look at some of the comparison shots between what they showed and what they're now showing, it's all in the details. It's in the reflections, it's in the depth of field, it's in a lot of the focus effects, it's in the animations, the shadows, the subtle lighting, not just God rays, but the soft lighting, the soft shadows, all of those very small things. If you know what you're looking at, you can pick it out. But in general, it's the things that aren't meant to stand out. They're meant to build the quality of the image, you know?
Yeah.
They're meant to make it feel a certain way and not just be objective like lens flare or something like that. When you look at the images from the game when it was first being played, the way that the raindrops spatter on different things, the way that the incidental people in the environment behave, each individually according to fairly interesting AI routines, the way that the explosions and the fire effects look, the volumetric nature of them, the way that crossing a street, you'll see the wind blow out of an alley and it's pushing leaves along, particle effects, things like this. It's the small things. They don't, any one of them doesn't necessarily equal it doesn't elicit a wow response, right? Not necessarily. But taken together, taken as a whole, they really, really change the nature of your of how you feel about what the game looks like. The problem is they're also really expensive, graphically expensive and intensive. They take an awful lot of effort to do things that a huge percentage of the population doesn't notice. So when you start thinking about your performance budget, because this game's got to come out on 5 platforms simultaneously, maybe we roll this back. Maybe we take it away from the public eye for 6 months, give people nothing to compare it to incrementally over that time, re-release it with, you know, a few coats of paint stripped away, a lot fewer effects.
Maybe they won't notice.
Maybe.
Possibly. But it didn't
It seems to be what they were hoping for. They seem to be one of their, I mean, in response to a lot of the belly aching from the community over the last couple of days, they have said that, no, the PS4 version is going to look exactly like the E3 2013 reveal. I'm like, man, I don't believe you. That's the problem. You keep saying that it will, but I don't believe you at all, because I can see what's in front of me. When pressed on the matter, you insisted that this was from the PS4, and then you insist that it will look like what I saw a year ago.
It doesn't.
These cannot both be true.
You're right.
They cannot both be true. We'll find out. We'll find out in May. It's done.
I think we might find out sooner. Well, we will find out officially in May, but I think before then you'll see more of that ramp up of marketing, that sort of thing that'll come out to try to sway you one way or another, or try to. I think they'll try a lot harder with their next trailer or with whatever they release next.
Well, it might be the best thing for them to do. Talk about what the game actually is. Although, again, it went from being some kind of interesting futurist, near future, I don't know, hacker observer state thing, to now it's like, oh, it's a revenge thing. It's Max Payne. It is. They killed his they killed his kid, and it's like, oh, I'm very sad. Yeah, and the trailer was nothing but gunplay and like really strange revenge fantasy type stuff, and all of a sudden it's like, but you were interesting. Yeah, I know you were using a phone to do it was like a magic wand phone, and it was doing all sorts of stuff, and that's whatever, but you were interesting, you know. I found it shocking in the original reveal when that character pulled out a gun, because everything they had shown up to that point was a person that solved problems in a different way. I didn't mind the violence because it is a video game and it's the easiest mechanism to fall back on.
Yeah.
But for it to just be some kind of strange, I don't know, really bloody revenge fantasy thing,
it looked like a break from the norm, and now it's something more typical of
now it just looks like
now. Yeah.
norm.
Mm-hmm.
What a waste. Like, what an incredible, incredible waste. You have billions of people, billions of dollars, hundreds of millions at least, to you guys need some Amy Hennig. That's all I'm saying. Like, you clearly have no concept what to do. You cannot see through all of your money that your story is completely useless. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I shouldn't judge your story by the story trailer. Maybe. But it just seems so boring. It seems so dull. And it seems like they had so many options to do something much more interesting. I just, refused. Why would we do that? It's easier to just show a gravestone and have him rage out with grenades and pistols and
Let's GTA this thing, why don't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
Man.
Why don't you want me to buy your game? You're fast approaching joyless obligation.
Very true. If not already.
Yeah.
You know, if they already if they haven't already hit there. And I can tell you now that their attempts to get out in front of this have been weak at best. To like you said, to say that, oh no, what you're going to get on the PS4 is exactly what you're going to get from the E3 2013, which was, I mean, just at the last E3 when they did their stage demo, their live stage demo, if that was the case, of playing it on the screen there, looked nothing like what we're getting. But they say that that's the way it's going to be. Yet then you get them saying that what you did see was from the PS4. And their constant stance on that is that it will look like what it did. It will look like what it did. It will look like what it did. Not...
All right, show me what it's going to look like.
Not that we see your reasoning. We're sorry, here's a screenshot or something like this. They're doing nothing to try and sway us visually. Put it that way. They're just throwing the words at us and not throwing the proof at us.
Yeah, they need to do some damage control. They really, really badly need to do some damage control.
They need to shut up.
Then that, yeah.
They need to shut up, and they need
that's
to.
a big part of the damage control.
They need to
man.
shut up. They need to just release the game and just put their hands up and be like, "Whatever, it is what it is. We'll see how it goes."
Yeah. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll have the second hour of in-game chat. So we'll be back with more right after this. Here's a song called "Cider Time." I'm not sure what this is from, but maybe you guys will recognize it. We'll be back in just a bit. And welcome back to In-Game Chat. Music from Riven, the sequel to Myst. In case you were watching the webcam there, you saw everybody go over and look at James' computer. He was showing him the differences
How
in...
terrible Watch Dogs.
Well, you said you had never seen it, right?
I've seen the.
You hadn't
I've
seen
the
the
previous. So I hadn't seen.
Right.
I hadn't seen this new stuff
The
that just
downgrade.
came out. The downgrade. And man,
I know, it's sad.
it's explosions
Yeah.
everywhere, because that's
Bang.
what a hacking game is about.
Bang, 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 boom, 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 bang, bang, boom, boom.
Something that looked like what could be like a modern day iteration of like the Thief games
Yeah.
is now shooty bangs.
Yep.
And because that's
Yeah,
we need shooty bangs because that's what the people want.
yeah,
Or whatever.
yeah, stylish kills in there too. I saw that. More action, more flash and substance apparently.
I mean, supposedly we're still getting whatever the poorly described multiplayer was.
Yeah,
The 8-player
Like they hack into
free
your game
roaming
and-
type of running around doing stuff, which may actually be a reason to talk with anybody else who's getting it about the preferred platform, so we can at least participate in that.
that's true.
I'll
but-
try to get it in the same place if they're going to be doing that. I don't know. That whole thing had me absolutely turned on, hoping that it was going to be something really unique and
Right.
interesting based, again, on the reveal. As it is, it's probably not much of anything of substance. So whatever, we'll find out. It's done.
Mhm.
The date is there. I don't think they can push it back any
I don't
further.
think they can either. I think, yeah.
I think the bosses want it out the door, and for good or ill, generating some kind of return on their investment. So we will find out.
Well, yeah, because right now it's just a money sink.
And what is it? What's the date?
May 27th, I think.
Right? About 2 weeks before E3, where they hope nobody will talk about it because they'll be talking about E E3.
Yeah.
I have memories of games that I've missed the release date of because of the convention. I missed the first PAX I went to. I missed the release of that John Woo game on the 360.
The Stranglehold?
Stranglehold, that's what it was. I missed the release of that.
Still got that, by the way.
One of the E3s I went to, I missed Infamous, the first,
Yes.
because it released right before E3. Last of Us released in an odd way the Friday after it released on a Friday, and it released the Friday that was right after E3. E3 ended on a Thursday. Last of Us released on a Friday. And so, which I didn't really miss it, but it was a while before I ever got into it because of the travel schedule that I had and stuff like that. So I can remember these things. I can remember But all of those that I've listed, with the exception of maybe Stranglehold, that was over a pack situation. But Infamous and Last of Us turned out pretty well.
They did.
For their
It's not
releases so
necessarily
close.
because they're trying to bury it under the coverage of other things.
No.
It has a lot to do with what time of year it is. It is a business, after all. People have to get their games out, and they sometimes would like to push it back a little further, but they need it to actually hit the market in a particular quarter,
Yeah.
for example. So a lot of things coming out in the second quarter of the year are going to come out right at the end of May before you go into E3. It's a coincidence. Other times it's not a coincidence. News and certain game releases happen in the hopes that they'll be
buried in the news
subducted
cycle.
right underneath the news cycle of things that are more exciting.
Yeah.
So I'm imagining that this is little column A, little column B. You know,
Yeah.
it's been on the back burner for too long. They need to get it out the door and earning money.
Right. We've got to get it out. What's the best date we can release this? And then, yeah. So, like I said, we'll see. We've got the date now.
The thing is, I'm not any less likely to play it. I have to play it. That was decided an awful long time ago.
I wonder if I'm curious if you remember they had released all this stuff. I'm very curious if the PC requirements have changed any.
I'm sure they've gotten lower based on what I've seen.
You remember when they released, it was there were some really high requests for the
whatever.
for the
They were
maximum
having
things.
a laugh.
Yeah, I guess so.
Everybody was having a laugh for a minute there.
Yeah.
So
I'd be curious to hear about that, which is something we haven't heard of, is anything on the PC front. They've just shown us the...
well, and that's another problem. It is Ubisoft. They really, really like to loosey that football right out from under you
They do.
if you're a PC gamer.
Mm-hmm. They sure have, with almost every single game that they've done, with the exception of games that they got from THQ. South Park made it, no problem.
I wouldn't say with no problem, just delayed forever.
Well, that was... but that wasn't delay. They didn't delay the PC version.
Yeah.
They haven't actually done that in a while. Far Cry 3 delivered day and date.
Was that was day and
consoles.
date? Okay.
Assassin's Creed 4
Assassin's Creed
delivered
4.
day and date with the next generation console.
That's-
Or did they all come out the same day?
No. Assassin's Creed was delayed. No, it was not. The PC version got a release on a Tuesday, the same time as everybody else. It was the fact that the PS4 and everything else didn't come out
Right.
until like
As
a Thursday or something like
extenuating
that.
circumstances.
Right. They couldn't release until the day the consoles actually hit shelves. So it was a staggered release for there. It wasn't really didn't put them in a position to say that they delayed the PC release because of it. So, but they've had a history with it, is what we're saying. So, something else we got this week that we talked about last week that we were wondering if we would get, and that was, of course, the announcement of a new Batman game.
Yep. Batman Arkham Knight.
Arkham Knight. We talked about this in the parking lot. I tried to record it. It sounded like crap on my phone. I tried to record us talking about that because we were all going through that situation of, it's going to be another Batman game. It's going to be from Rocksteady. Here's what we hope they do. And from what we hear, this is their final Batman game.
This is going to be at least their last Arkham series game.
Yeah.
And Kevin Conroy's back. He's going to be Batman this time around.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm just
It's
saying that this is going to be the last Batman game they work on. It's made me more excited to see what they're going to do next.
yeah.
This is going to be fine. Their little Batman game is going to be fine.
Well, I mean,
for the
that's
release.
kind of what we were thinking when Origins came out. It's like, oh, this is a different team. I wonder what Rocksteady's up to. And then, well, here's our answer.
Well, we kind of knew they were making one though because of Kevin's tweet that he did. He said, "No, I'm not doing this Arkham game. I'm doing another Arkham game."
Okay.
He tweeted this many, many, many months ago. So we knew Rocksteady was working on one. It was just a sense of, is this going to be the only thing that they ever do? And now it appears that it's not. This is their swan song for this. And which, like I said, it's put more emphasis on. Now I'm excited to see what they're going to do next. I'd like to see something from them. I don't know.
Some kind of original.
I don't know
IP.
enough of their history to know. Was Batman their first foray? I don't think it was.
Need an intern.
Putting the call out for somebody to Google that stuff for us.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to look forward to it no matter what. As soon as I see Rocksteady on there, it's like, yeah, that's probably going to be a day one purchase.
Yeah, and we got a date for it. And this is also, I thought was interesting, is that it is a full next-gen title. It is not.
Yes, PS4, Xbox
No,
One,
it's
and
it's
PC.
eschewing the old platforms.
Yeah.
But by the time it releases,
Which is October.
that will have been a year for the new systems. It'll begin to be a little strange to be supporting cross-generational titles at that point.
Yeah.
At the point right now of its announcement, well, there are plenty of other games doing it. Why won't you? But by October, it'll be time to, let the other things just disappear into the past and not support cross-gen stuff. Still support games on the old generation consoles, but not cross-gen.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be the point at which you start really expecting everybody who still hasn't purchased a PS4 or an Xbox One to pony up and get with the program.
Yeah.
So, also, you can drive the car.
And you can drive the
Yeah,
car.
you have the Batmobile.
Which was something that has always concerned me because I hear a lot of people request it, and I thought, if they can, if they can pull it off and do it well, that's fine. It was just always a concern for me that I thought, I know how I drive in these games.
Well, you've already seen what they're doing, and I don't even know how they're actually going to get around to it this time, but, well, I mean, we kind of do, but it's another empty city.
Yeah.
It's another empty, which is absolutely necessary because you can't create an opportunity where Batman goes around, punching hookers or like whatever. You can't present the possibility of a Batman game providing the same type of interaction as a GTA game,
Right.
which means you absolutely cannot allow for interactions with innocent civilians.
Yeah. Nothing like that.
So you have to empty the city again.
I think maybe that's one of the reasons they're making this their last is because I think they've drained ways that they can clear out the entire area that they've
Right.
got to use for their game. They,
Yep.
you keep making the game. Here's Arkham Asylum. Great, that's fine. They're all contained one way or another. We're good. Here's
Arkham City.
Arkham City. We got to expand beyond the walls of Asylum, but how do we get rid of the civilians? Okay, we came up with that. Well, okay, here's Arkham Knight. We have to expand beyond the walls of Arkham City. How do we get rid of these people again?
Right.
And so I
And
think
how'd they do it in Origins?
Origins, a blizzard.
Yeah, it was too
Was
cold.
it a blizzard?
It
Christmas Eve. and
was too
Blizzard.
cold out.
Well, they
Let's see,
set it
pull
at
that.
Christmas Eve.
Well, to
And-
be fair, we've gone through that recently, and it's like, all right, that works.
Yeah.
It actually does work pretty well. So
It gets cold. We're like, yeah, we'll just stay inside.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still love Origins. I really do. I still love it.
I need to play through that one. I haven't picked it up yet.
Still enjoy it. But yeah, so you get the car. The cool thing, well, not the cool thing, but the interesting thing is that, and this was just noticed today that I found out, was that, the pre-order stuff, you get all the different things. Walmart has a pre-order where there's a skin for the car,
Huh.
which started throwing all these ideas in my head of different versions of the car to play with within the
Animated
game.
series.
Yes.
Which
That's,
seems to be a
there's the
staple
first
for,
thought, man.
That's
Because
that
it's
seems to
the
be a
best
staple in
version.
previous
Yeah,
ones.
exactly. If you can give me, here we go. They've already given me the animated skin for Batman
Yeah.
and Robin and Catwoman and Nightwing from the previous games. Give me the animated skin, then you give me the animated car.
Or just give me a fully functional Batman Beyond Batmobile.
That flew, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, that flew.
I'd be down with that.
Yeah.
I
yeah.
know. It's-
I wish they'd make a real Batman game. Just gonna put that out there.
Which for you involves what?
I don't even know how to look. I don't know how to make the game, man. But like I saw I'm not. You understand that I have no problem with the violence or anything like that. I understand what makes a game, right? Those moment-to-moment fights and their method for building fights and all of that stuff is whatever. It's fine. It's enjoyable. I think the city stuff is really cool. But for all of the universal adoration that the animated series, the original animated series gets, there seems to be a huge disconnect between what everybody respects as possibly the most balanced and most perfect representation of Batman as a character and how he is represented now, both in film and in games. And if you look, just look with your eyes, not with your hopes and dreams, not with your soft heart, not with your memory or through rose-tinted glasses. Look at what they're giving you. Even the trailer itself doesn't try to tell you that it's Batman. He's like catapulting all over the place. He looks literally for all the world. If you replace the model of Batman with a model of Master Chief, it would look fine because he's doing Master Chief stuff. And I'm sorry, man, Batman's not Master Chief. He's not Master Chief. He is not a fully armored, walking killing machine who just somehow chooses not to kill. The idea that he's all kicks and punches, that it's stand-up burly brawl all the time, and that the element of Batman, the portion of him that is a detective, is relegated to a you know,
To detective vision.
to a detective vision, to a
Detective mode,
piece of technology that he drops down over his head to show him who to beat up. I hate that. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. The games have been fun, but I'm really, really done with the concept that Batman is so combat oriented. He is a guy. That's one of the character's primary strengths. It's that he's just a guy. He is an incredibly rich guy who borders on physical perfection, but he doesn't win fights because he's so tough. He doesn't even win fights because he's got amazing technology. The amazing technology is usually employed to prevent him getting in fights, or to make it so that he doesn't have to do them. I really wish there was a way that something was not an RPG or anything like that necessarily, but something where combat was as meaningful as the Souls games, as likely to fail you or to end your mission as a Tenchu game. Something like that. There have been better Batman games, in my opinion, already, or at least elements of better Batman games. There's a better way to express the character and what makes him so brilliant, literally brilliant, as the great detective and all of this other stuff. Yes, he is a master escape artist. Yes, he is a master martial artist. But the way that they present him, and have presented him for some time now, is that he is those things. You know, that he's a big monster, that he clobbers dudes, and then way down the line, somewhere in vanishing into insignificance, he is a brilliant detective.
Yeah, they only highlighted, in Asylum and in City, they only highlighted the detective aspects of him in voiceovers.
Yeah.
And parts that you never made the decisions for or anything like that. They expanded upon it in Origins just in the very least little bit. It was the crime scenes that they had in Origins, which was a step in the right direction. They didn't get it right, but it was a step in the right direction where you had a crime scene and you had to search for clues and evidence and things like that. And they did a little bit of that in City during the Deadshot thing.
Yeah, where you have to like find
You trace
where the bullets came from,
right.
and all this.
But again, all of that was done through voiceover stuff, not you putting two and two together.
Yeah.
Which is what I would like to see as well. I would like to see.
You want a kind of a puzzle solving mechanic in it then?
I really wish I could lay my head on exactly the type of game I want.
I know where he's going. I know what
and I don't mind. Again, I don't mind the combat, but and I'm not even saying that I have not enjoyed those games and that those games should not have existed. It was a fine expression for a period of time. What I am saying is, as a character, and this is kind of getting out of the strict nature of video games, but because it's big business with him, and it's big business across the board, I understand it has to be accessible, and I certainly understand that what they did was good, and that combat, we defend the violence in video games a lot because it is the best mechanic to allow the player to interact with a game world. But this guy isn't just anybody. And if we're really talking about games being the best they possibly can be, not an art thing and not a thing that you wouldn't be embarrassed to play. That's ridiculous stuff. That shouldn't even be talked about. But their best selves. He's a great concept to build around. And if you look at the very best versions of him throughout history, he is a mind first.
Yeah.
And when he fights intelligently based off of philosophies that allow him to not get into situations that the games are based around. And so I would like to see us leave this era before this era becomes the only thing anybody knows about him.
Right.
Yeah. And I felt that way about the Nolan Batman films as well. I didn't care for them. I didn't care for the direction they went because I thought that it was a very thoughtless and stupid way to build the character. And I think that you could make an incredibly good story-driven, somewhat puzzle-driven, and still action-oriented, freewheeling, running around the city type of game. Sitting on the rooftops, observing and doing all this other stuff. But just to make all of those interactions more meaningful and definitely pay more attention to.
Yeah, I would like to see... do your cityscape which is fine. And that's where your fights can come in your traversal between buildings.
And you do still need them. You
Yeah,
do still
you
need
do.
all of that fast, clean, satisfying combat with really good feedback. You have to have that.
I think you put your puzzle piece or your puzzle segments in your buildings that you enter. And the traversal between buildings can be your moments of
Sure.
your fun
I'm not
little
going to
fight.
try to design the
I
game
don't know.
here
Yeah,
on
I
the
know.
radio.
We're sitting here
and
trying,
I feel
but-
bad for just like I'm not trying to dump on what it is. I'm just really concerned that it's the wrong mechanic to be presenting as such a huge overall percentage of the character.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I didn't even bother with Origins. I was kind of exhausted by the mechanic by the time I got to through with City, and I was just like, I want to be Batman. I don't want to be this guy. This could be any guy. You could name this guy anything, and it would make just as much sense. So,
Yeah.
I want to step out of the shadows like the Batman animated series Batman, I don't want to be wearing a giant armored tank suit, right? I want my cape to fold around him and he just slips back into the shadows and he pops out, scares you, like gets the information he needs, tricks you into doing something. These are the things I want him to be. I wouldn't mind spending time as Bruce Wayne either, because Batman spends time as Bruce Wayne, and he's usually furthering the cause through a different mechanic. That would be a great mechanic, to spend time sometimes under the cowl.
It was something we wanted to kind of happen in the city that
Yeah.
never really paid off.
I've kind of had and this is like parking lot conversation.
Yeah, I know.
I've had a fantasy about how to do like a year one game, an open world, progressive RPG light style Batman year one thing, which I think would be very, very interesting. Less reliant on Area 51 technology and more reliant on character progression. So I don't know. I'm out in space now, but it's how I feel.
That's okay. We
And
brought
so
the
I'm like,
chat room with us
Yeah.
in for that. So Brian Ward says, I want a Batman more like the BBC Sherlock, a detective who is always one step ahead.
Yeah.
Which is great. So
Amy Hennig should start the funding for the animated license game. Welcome to the new meme for the next 6 months until she decides she's going to tell
Yeah.
us what she's really doing.
you know how they can fix this? Hire
Amy Hennig is
Yeah.
the solution for all your problems.
W. Matthew,
Reddit.com/r/Amy
W. Matthew says, "What do you think of it being PS4, Xbox One, and PC only?" Like we had said earlier, that we think the time for it to be released in October. If it was releasing in the next 2 months or something, you'd probably see a 360 and a PS3 slapped on. But since it's getting an October release, we think that kind of
it'll be just as the new consoles are.
I think that
reaching
kind of
their
falls in line with probably a
birthday.
lot more games that you're going to see announced in that era, or in that time
Yeah,
frame.
we're kind of like in that Twilight Years period for the PS3 and 360 releases. Lord Shadow 2 had the release on there.
Yeah.
Dark Souls 2 is getting theirs on this.
You're also seeing, I think, for a lot of them that on these big titles, the primary teams, the first-rate teams, and any of the developers are pushing the next-gen versions, and they're bringing on secondary developers to help backport it to the old stuff. That's probably something they don't want to do as well. It's more platforms to support, and it means they're working around more limitations to put the same game on 5 platforms instead of 3 or 2 or 1. And well, I mean, but it's and there's a bit of a correlation between those. So I think that there are a lot of people who are going to be very happy to be moving just to one era, an era that more resembles itself, console to console.
Although I look at this and I still, until it's an exclusive to either just the consoles or one of the consoles, as long as you've got a PC option in there, that's where I see myself.
Yeah, that's where I've ended up.
Especially after I played Origins with the snow and the and from what they've applied Apex physics to his cape now, which I know is a small little thing, but it's one of those situations where it's like, okay, now it reacts to the environment rather than his movement. It reacts to his movement, but it also reacts to the environment. And seeing what they were able to do with the snow in Origins for my PC card, my NVIDIA card, was just fantastic. It just was great. And then the electroshock gloves is one thing, but the smoke that they emitted, the smoke trails that those things did, it's these little bitty things. But after seeing it, it's like it's hard to go back. It's really hard to look at that and think, nah, I really want.
I gotta get like.
I want all my bells and whistles.
I don't want the downgraded console version. I want the one where it's like everything here.
I was the same way with Thief.
Yeah,
I really wanted the PC version, and until I found it at a price that I was willing to pay for, I was going to be playing on the PS4. Seriously, but the day before it came from GameFly for PS4 was the day I found it for a price I was willing to pay, the $16 that I was willing to pay. So, but yeah, so anyway, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we will have the final segment of In-Game Chat. Going to talk to RJ about his trip to Atlanta for final round and get some more details on that. And if you've got questions for them, give us a call to 334-272-9228. We'll be back with more. Here is music from Sonic 3. And welcome back to In-Game Chat. Music there from Rainbow Six 3. Welcome back to the show. For this segment, we've kind of, it's our last segment of the hour, and we know that RJ and his group are going to be headed off to Atlanta. They will not be here or RJ will not be here for next week's episode. Hopefully, we're thinking that he might be able to call in during the show and kind of give us an update on how things are going. But he's headed off to Atlanta for final round, and on the phone, we've got one of the guys going with him. This is Greg. Greg, you there?
Yes.
Hey, man, thanks for calling in the show.
Oh, no problem.
You and RJ headed out to Atlanta, what'd you say, Thursday or Friday?
We're heading out Thursday.
Thursday, and then what will you do? What happens when you get into Atlanta Thursday?
Well, make sure we get our stuff situated, and then we're going to practice for the most part.
Yep.
And then Friday, what happens?
That's when the tournaments start going in full swing, and then the pool play starts playing at that point.
So what are you guys playing? What games are you playing there?
Well, I'm playing Street Fighter 4, Super Street Fighter 4, Soul Calibur 5, and Virtua Fighter 5. And Greg, how about you? What are you playing?
Just Super Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition. That's it.
Okay.
When does that that takes place on Friday? Is that when the Street Fighter game takes place, or when?
I think pool play starts, yeah.
I believe it's Saturday. I think they separated this year, so it'll be Saturday, I believe.
Mm-hmm. We getting? Do you guys know if this is going to be all on Twitch? We can watch these.
It will.
Okay.
Should be. I want to say they have 3 separate streams this year. I think most of the Capcom games are going to be on I think twitch.tv/Team Spooky. I believe some of the other games will be on 645's channel, which is twitch.tv/645 all spelled out. And I believe there's one other stream. I can't remember off the top of my head right now, though.
Well, it'll be interesting. The last tournament that I watched was obviously Evo, whenever that was going on. And for whatever reason, man, I love I can't play them worth a damn, but I love fighting game tournaments. I love watching them, but I can't play them at all. But I just enjoy seeing the competition, especially when it's really good competition.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of fun to watch. You guys have no idea who your opponents are going to be, do you?
Not yet.
That'll go in, I guess, I don't know what the style is on...
Is it kind of like a draft? You mentioned a pool. Is it just kind of random draw? And do you have something like where it's based on win-loss record, or is it like single elimination, double elimination, things like that?
It's somewhat like that. Sometimes what they'll do is they'll seed by region. So a lot of times if you're there with a bunch of other people from the same state, they try and separate people if you pre-register. A lot of times if you register on site, they just kind of throw you in brackets. So you don't really have that advantage of being able to be separated from your friends and stuff like that. But typically they should have the pools up before Thursday. So you'll have a good idea who you're going to play. But, there's also going to be open spots for people who register at the venue. So, it'll also be there. There'll be a few people in there that you're not sure of until that day.
Well, both of you are, and I guess Greg, get in touch with RJ, or RJ if you're there, and when pretty concrete on what the schedule's going to look like or something, if you can point me in the right direction, shoot me a text. I want to put it on our site so people can go watch the tournament and hopefully catch you guys competing as well.
Okay.
From what I understood, isn't Capcom involved with this as far as, aren't they doing something with Ultra?
According to
They're doing, is it Ultra Super Street Fighter 4? I don't know. They've tagged so many names.
Ultra Street Fighter 4.
You're making that up.
Yeah.
Hyper Edition, Combo
Right,
Breaker.
which is, but they're doing something where you can play different versions of a character.
Yeah, you can play, you will know this better than
Edition
I will.
Select is what it's
Yeah.
called.
Edition Select.
Yeah, you can select which edition of Street Fighter 4 the character plays from. Which
Street Fighter 4, Super Street Fighter 4, Super Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition.
Good God.
And they're AE 2012 and Ultra.
Yeah.
and you can have it like where it's like you can have like an original Street Fighter 4 character play against like a Super Street Fighter 4 character. No problem.
Vanilla Sagat versus AE 2012 Sagat, something like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. That does kind of work in with what we were talking about, like with Thief last week. With,
Fully customizable.
Fully
type,
customizable, be able to do whatever you want in the game. That's a very interesting turn. I like this new style that's coming out of the game companies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How many people do we have from, I guess, the area here going?
Let's see. I
Obviously,
got
you
about four.
two.
I got about 4 people going with me. Greg, you got 4 going with you as well, right?
I believe it's me and Ronaldo riding up, and that's just the two of us. But
Okay.
it's a good bit from Alabama. But as far as our group, I think it's gonna probably be like maybe close to 7 or 8, something like that.
Okay. All right.
All to compete?
Yeah.
Oh.
So everybody's competing. What you've already said your games, but I mean, what are your specialties? Are you guys all just jumping into what your specialties are?
The games I've had. I'm jumping in for the games I've had success in. So.
You played a ton of them, I know. So I mean, go into these things. Is it let me get my name in the hat for everything, or is it let me just find my strong suit and stick to that?
Well, you can go either way, but I've just put my name in the what I think I can do some stuff in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Other things I just observe.
Greg, what other tournaments do you go to?
I've pretty much just been going to locals lately. I just went to Georgia for Gwinnett Brawl, which that was one that I just won. So I've been trying to travel. Before that, I think the last tournament I went to, I guess the last big major, which would be like the bigger events, was Midwest Championships, which was in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm pretty much trying to get out as much as I can because I feel like this is my year where I can kind of show my stuff. And cause I played the game. I've been playing Street Fighter 4 competitively since 2012. Well, maybe it was 2011, I think. But I've been playing for long enough, and I feel like this is kind of my opportunity to try and get out there and get my name known and show people what I can do.
So what do you plan on hitting up this year, after final round?
After final round, I'll be going to, other than locals, I guess the major events, I'm going to UFGT in Chicago. After that, I'm going to try and go to CEO, which is in Orlando, Florida. And then this is the first year I'll actually be able to make it to EVO, which I'm really excited about.
Oh, wow.
Oh, excellent.
How do you now? Is that just something? I follow these once they're.
That's a name we hear a lot.
Yeah, I know. I follow these things once they're in progress, but getting into them, is it anyone can enter, or do you have to go through like a vetting process in order to earn a chance to get into it? What's the situation on some of these?
It's pretty much just anybody can enter. They usually they don't cap these tournaments at all. I think the first time they've recently tried doing that was there was a tournament that happened. I think maybe 2 weeks ago. It was SCR SoCal Regionals, and they tried something different because I think they had I can't remember if it was like maybe 12 or 15 games all there. So they added caps for pretty much every game. So I think it was 256 for the big games, which was Ultimate Marvel versus Capcom and Street Fighter 4. And some of the other games had, I think, maybe 128 man brackets. But typically, yeah, it's just, anybody who wants to enter can.
And so you're going to try you're not going to try. I guess you're going to go out to EVO this year then. That's in, what is that, Vegas?
Vegas.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And so that's just open to anyone who wants to anyone, I guess, who can afford the registration fee and then the trip out there.
Fee and, yeah, pretty much, yeah.
What is the registration fee for these things typically?
It depends on the tournament. Typically, if you register early enough, they'll do badge discounts, so they could be $30 for a badge, which is what pretty much gets you to be able to enter a tournament. And then usually games are $10 a piece. So
okay, so that was my next question. You have to register to get into the tournament, or you have a registration fee to get into the tournament, and then there's actually a fee for each game that you put your name into.
Yes, yeah, that's correct.
What is it for final round? Is that about right? 30 to get in, and then $10 per game.
Yeah, $10.
Yep.
$10 a game. Mm-hmm.
And is it? What have you? Greg, you going to EVO this year? What are the prices on that? That seems like, being that it's high profile, that it would be a major financial endeavor to do something like that.
Yeah, I think when I checked the other day, because they just opened registration, I think earlier this week, it was, I think a badge is $40 for if you're going to participate in any tournaments, and then each game is $10 a piece.
Not too much, not much of a difference then, I guess, between Atlanta and Vegas.
Yeah, not a huge difference. It's just more of the, I guess the price of the hotel and stuff, which they're actually at a cheaper hotel this year. I believe they're at the Las Vegas hotel, and then I can't remember when they were at last year, but as far as rooms, when I was looking at that, I think you can get just the basic room at the Las Vegas hotel, and it's like $63 a night or something like that, compared to when they've been in Caesars and I forget the other one before that. It was like maybe $130 a night or something like that.
Yeah, and it's a 3-day tournament easily. So, and plus the fact of when you got to get there and that sort of thing, it could turn into a 4-night affair and quite expensive undertaking. Just for a tournament. Although there's cash payouts on these things, is there not?
There is, yes.
Yeah, I mean, what are we looking at for final round? What do you get on what does winners get for those?
I think they've been doing top 3 payouts. I don't know if they're going to change that this year, but usually it's just top 3. So I think the breakdown is 70, 20, 10 for first, second, and third, respectively.
And that's for each game. There's not a price hierarchy for different titles. Like Street Fighter, very popular, gets a bigger payout than something like Virtua Fighter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, it's based on interest pretty much, because that $10 that you're putting towards towards entering each game is going towards the pot.
That makes perfect sense with how many people pony up to ante up, I guess.
Yeah. And sometimes the game gets sponsored by a company, and they'll add like $250, $500 to the pot as well.
Yeah, that's true also.
Wow, yeah, I forgot about that.
I think what was it? Is Tekken Tag sponsored this year?
I can't remember if it was. I know Namco Bandai added money to the pot last year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What's the most successful that you've been, Greg?
Probably at a major. I almost made it out of pools last year, which I think out of 330-something people, I think I tied for 62nd or something like that.
Is that for final round?
Yeah, that was for final round, yes.
Yeah.
That's
So,
probably the most success I've had so far.
and what about you, RJ?
Tied, well, 1 and 2, so I tied for probably in the hundreds or so.
How do you guys prepare for these things? We've heard about how RJ prepares. He just basically, plays the game over and over again. I play the AI opponent, I suppose.
Well, training mode and play some matches online, but or set up some situations in training mode to do that.
How do you practice for something like this?
Find things that link, find things that chain, find things that break the opponent's guard. I mean, you just try to find little things here and there, and like you said, muscle memory. Try to make sure you get your chains and links properly done, so you can do it in your sleep if you have to.
Yeah, it's. If I think about a tournament that I would get into, and for me, my game is pinball. I love pinball, but the situation there is that the table never changes. The table is the way it is. I just have to learn how to aim.
Mm-hmm.
For you guys, you're playing you're playing a human opponent.
Right.
There is no.
But there's also
There's
limitations.
no base level of consistency.
But there are limitations on which the human can act.
Yeah.
They can only jump. They can only do these moves, and coming up with responses to those is that's what gets.
I would
that-
say like styles of play, like
Yeah.
Some one person doesn't play this character the same way as another person does. This person does something completely different from what you're used to. Basically, how well can you adapt and make changes to your game on the fly?
Do you have certain characters that? It's always fascinated me that to watch character selection. Most people go for the character that they know. However, I've seen some wait for the other guy to select, and then they base their pick on that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys have situations like that? Do you have a plan for that sort of thing, or do you just stick to like, this is the guy I know, this is the guy I'm playing with?
In Soul Calibur, I have one person I know, so I stick with that person. Siegfried. Street Fighter, same way. I know one person, and that's who I go with. Other people do have the option or alternative characters that they pick. But
I'll say,
for
are
me,
you
it's
like
one.
locked into your one character at the start of the tournament, or is it?
Right now, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, later on, I may pick something new and pick something else up, but right now, I got one person that I've been working on, really.
Okay. Well, I mean, is it part of the rules that you have to be on this one character? Is it what?
In other words, if it's a best 3 out of 5 matches,
Can you change your character at all?
If you lose.
Okay, if you lose, you can change out your character.
Mhm.
Okay,
but if you win, you have to stick with.
Stay with your character if you win.
interesting.
That is very interesting. What about you, Greg? Do you have just one particular that you stick with, or do you have backup plans depending on if the person selects somebody else?
There's characters that I think I'm somewhat competitive with, but I just kind of don't trust my tourney life on it. So for the most part, I kind of just stick with what I know with just the one character I play.
And what are your? I guess it's not something that you keep in secret, is it?
Oh no, not at all. No.
So who are your go-to characters?
I play Sea Viper in Street Fighter 4, and I kind of dabble with maybe 2 or 3 other characters. I can play Cammy a little bit, also Ryu, but mainly just Viper. That's pretty much it.
And do you have your own stick, or do you just go with a controller?
Arcade stick.
Okay, I was curious about that. I did. RJ, do you stick with
arcade stick?
You do the
Me as
arcade
well.
stick.
Is that typical for the fighting tournaments?
It
every
seems to be
tournament?
from what I've seen,
Usually, yeah.
but
I mean, I know,
Nobody's coming in there with their 360
I have
controller.
I've hardly ever seen that, but
well,
I
yeah,
know it
yeah,
happens.
Yeah, some people do use their 360 controller. I think Ree uses a 360 controller, does he not?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
It's honestly, I guess back in the days, maybe early 2005, before I guess Street Fighter 4 blow up happened. It was pretty much anytime you went to a tournament, everybody would play on arcade stick. But I guess since Street Fighter 4 brought so many new people back into it, it's not a weird thing to see a lot of pad players at tournaments nowadays.
Are they all played with the exception of a title being exclusive to the console? If it's multi-platform, are they all on 360s?
It depends on the games. Most of the Capcom games, I think they run better on 360. I think there's been issues when they run the Capcom games on PlayStation 3 for frame drops and slowdown and little things like that. So typically that's what they play those on. 3D fighters like Tekken and Soul Calibur, stuff like that, they usually play on PS3 just because I don't know if it's an issue of them running better, but I know for sure people prefer those pads, the PlayStation 3 controllers over 360 for that. And also anime games like Blaze Blue and stuff like that, they usually play on PlayStation 3 as well.
Greg, I need to ask you, were you at all as surprised as we were when RJ got a 360?
Honestly, I figured it was going to happen eventually, but it kind of did surprise me.
We were in the middle of doing the show last week, and he dropped it like
a game coming out before E3.
Yeah, he just sort of like, boom, there it is, and maybe they won't notice.
Maybe they won't notice.
And we started, it was one of those things where we went into our next sentence, stopped halfway, and said, wait, what? To figure out what had happened. I mean, look,
it was Major Nelson. Major Nelson.
Yeah, really. Logically, his reason was perfect. It really fit, and I'm surprised he hasn't done it since then.
Yeah.
With all the fighting.
Yeah, but for the most part, most of the tournaments I attended, the Street Fighter 4 was being played on a PS3, so I already had the PS3, so I didn't get into it. But now, when I found out Final Round was going to start putting Street Fighter on the 360, yeah, it was about time.
Yeah.
Start practicing on that.
Have you played anything other than a fighting game on that console?
Let's see.
No, he's thinking about it.
I'm trying to think what I have actually. No, I haven't.
I didn't figure you had.
I'll say you had a gamer tag from Dark Souls PC, and that was about it.
Yeah, I've got 3 games, and one of them Street Fighter. I'm trying to remember what the other 2. Halo 4, and Tomb Raider. Hadn't touched them yet.
Of course.
No.
Well, Greg, we do appreciate you calling in and give us your insight. I would like you to definitely update us when Evo rolls around, man. That's a big deal.
Oh yeah, definitely, man.
So stay in touch with RJ and stay in touch with us, and let us know how it goes with Evo, or at least how it goes in your preparation for that. I mean, have you already? I don't even know if I think they've announced the game list. Have you already signed up for games for Evo, or what?
No, I plan on doing it this week though.
What are you jumping in for that? Same thing that you're doing here for Final Round?
Yeah, same thing. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if maybe you'd branch out and dip your toe into some of the other titles that they've got there, but. I guess you just when you got your character and you got your game, you just stick with that. What happens when new games get released? You jump over to that and just.
I try them a little bit. It depends on just kind of if they appeal to me. The last new game that I guess I tried learning was I guess Dead or Alive 5 Ultimate. I guess I played a little bit of that, and I think before that was Persona 4 Arena, and. Which I like that game, but it just kind of was the scene around me died for it, and there's still online play, but it's still not the same as playing actual opponents face to face. So that kind of was why I stopped playing that as much.
All right. Well, we appreciate it. Again, thanks for calling in, and wish both of you the best of luck for this coming weekend. So, and like I said, RJ will keep in touch with us and let us know how it goes. But we appreciate you calling in, Greg.
Oh, that's no problem. I really appreciate being on.
All right, man. Again, best of luck to you, and we'll get the results next week on the show, or at least some of the results. So, thanks again, man.
All right, thanks.
All right, thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
And that was Greg. He's going with you to Atlanta for Final Round.
Right.
By I say you, I mean RJ. And you won't be with us next week. You'll be there doing the tournament, and hopefully we'll get an update on how that goes from you. Just send me a text. Call in if you want. The times that we're on the show. So just, give us a call whenever you can. So thanks for that. I appreciate you making that happen. So anyway, that's about going to do it for us. Looking at next week, nothing for James. I've got Titanfall. I've also got Thief that I'm really itching to get back into just to see what happens next. I'm guessing, is that Clock Tower? Is that just your hub base type thing?
It's a wasted opportunity is what it is.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess I'll find out why that is.
I mean, yeah, you will. It's fine. You want it to be your base, your hub that you sweep the cobwebs out of and upgrade and put better things in there and turn it into an amazing thing. And that's not quite what happens. It's one of the many things about that game that could have been done much better.
Yeah.
So, but yes, in some respect, that's what it is.
Yeah. So that's for me. Nothing, like I said, nothing for you other than just probably more Diablo
I've got
3.
plenty.
Yeah.
I own plenty of video games that I have not
Yeah.
played or beaten, and I'm trying to, started playing Assassin's Creed 1 again.
Okay. You had been talking about that. I didn't know you dipped into it.
Yeah, I started playing it again. It's one of the many things that I defend against detractors the world over.
Mhm.
I have several games like that I insist were absolutely superior to the things that came later and that suffer slings and arrows from everybody in the world that has anything to say about them.
Yeah, it's repetitive.
Yeah, right. Welcome to gaming.
Yeah.
Where are you playing? A PC, I suppose?
Yeah, it was on sale on
Yeah,
the PC. And I was like,
obviously.
it was like $4, and I was like, you know what? I've wanted to do this for a while. And I've got a handful of games that I defend as the superior, if less well-polished version of the game for very specific reasons. But I worry after a period of time that maybe my memory is faulty.
Mhm.
So I'm putting my memory to the test, and I'm playing. I hope to play some of those things again. ODST is one of them.
Nice.
I much prefer ODST to pretty much anything that's happened in the entire Halo series.
Yeah.
So I have a couple of things like that, and if I can get some spare time here and there, I like to put in a few minutes. It's going to be hard to go through the entirety of the game, but
Mhm.
I spent a couple hours with it today. I may try to do that in little bits
Yeah.
over the course of the week. But even besides that, there are any number of things.
Yeah. For you, Dennis?
I'll probably get some more Kingdoms of Amalur in. Probably going to start up the Diablo 3 starter version and see what that's about. I'm pretty sure I'll get sucked into it, though.
I hope so.
I'm really, really interested for anybody that bounced right off of Diablo 3 when it came out. For them, I mean, I know it isn't free.
Mm.
Like, I understand that. But it is a significantly fun game. Right now is a very good time to either try it out or get into it and see if you're really in for, the next phase post-expansion pack. But it is simple and good fun right now.
Yeah.
In a way that it hasn't been in a very long time. So I enjoy it. I know that it's repetitive. I know I'm doing the same thing over and over. I'm farming the keep. I'm doing, early game runs, pushing the difficulty as high as I can. It doesn't really matter. It's good. Loot drops.
That's the thing, it's fun.
Things
That's
die in
important.
an entertaining manner because, like every Blizzard game ever made, pretty much, it plays really well.
Mm-hmm.
Exploding cow.
Yeah, man. It's a good time. It's a really, really good time. I recommend it.
Yeah. By the way, Plorch, you are absolutely correct in the chat room when
Yep.
you say that the atmosphere in ODST was amazing and it never matched any other Halo game. I would completely agree with you there. So, RJ, of course, is going to get Dark Souls 2, but he's not going to play it. So he says, and we can. It's
No,
it's
he's not going to play it.
he's exactly right.
He doesn't
he's not.
have our illness.
It's beyond our comprehension to that, but he won't do it. He's going to do that. And I will say that we've got a thread over on COG for anybody who is getting into Titanfall, and there seems to be quite a big list right now. We're sorting it out between the Xbox One players, the PC players. We're trying to get everybody's gamer tags all synced up so we can have everybody on there who's going to play. So go over there and do that. We want to thank everybody for joining us in the chat room, as well as everyone listening on the stream and on the radio as well. Thanks to everybody who grabs us every week from iTunes or however you get our show for later use. We really appreciate it. Head over to ingamechat.net. You can join us on Twitter, Facebook, our forums at colonyofgamers.com, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you're on Steam, we've got a Steam group. You can join up with us over there and play games with us and other listeners. Want to thank everybody in the chat room. We will see you next Saturday. This is music from Metal Slug, by the way.